Yeah, the edge popped. It's silver. I can tell right away. What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the video. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. This video is going to be metal detecting my neighbor's property next to where I found all of this. I'm going to do a brief recap because I didn't in the last video, and there's some interesting stuff here. So right after this brief recap of some of the finds cleaned up, the video is going to cut right to the digs that I did today at that property. And I found some pretty cool stuff. So just jumping in, I wanted to show this aluminum kids ring cleaned up. I never found one like this before. It actually says high school on it. So that's pretty neat. And you can see the veterans tag, the disabled veterans tag cleaned up a little bit more. The pennies that I found, the old ones were 1961, 1956D, and this one actually turned out, I believe, to be a 1936 in really rough condition. Predates the house by like 15 years. The musket ball, which is likely from the American Civil War, incredibly oxidized white color, really cool. Happy to have that. And also, this find that I found in the front yard I didn't show cleaned up. Don't conclusively know what it is, but it's an old piece of copper with some sort of pewter or lead on the back. So potentially horse tack related, maybe something decorative, but I'm thinking this is going to go back to the 1800s like that musket ball. So there's some old stuff on these properties, and I found something else old in the video you're just about to see right about now. Alright, my first signal after a piece of aluminum right here by the property boundary. My house is right over there, and check it out, guys. I actually think I have a Civil War bullet. It looks, I mean, this one's definitely been fired and hit something very solid. But I'm pretty sure that is going to be a fired 3-ringer, aka mini ball. Like I said, I'm not 100% sure, like the one I found last time. This could be post-war, but I'm finding a lot of these old type finds in these two lots, which is a great sign. So I'll keep searching. I cleaned up the mangled lead bullet, and I do believe this is a .58 caliber bullet from the American Civil War. Hard to tell exactly which kind because it hit something very solid. But you can see the concave base there. It's possible that it's an Enfield, but it's hard to tell because of the condition that it's in. But awesome find anyway. There was definitely some activity in this area. Okay, I got a shallow coin right here, but it's just a zinc penny, and I have a similar signal just like a 1.5 feet away from this one. Probably dropped at the same time. I'm pretty sure it's going to be another zinc, so I'm not going to film it. But first coin from the neighbor's lot. Happy to have it. And let's look for some older stuff. So I dug 2 more zinc pennies, and then I got a copper signal, and it was shallow, but it is the oldest coin so far, 1969. Let's see what else we can find. I took a break for a second to grab my shade hat, and I'm here in my shed, and I figured I'd show you all really quickly. Living next to a golf course. This is just from the last year plus, a giant whey protein container full of them, and I got a whole other thing there. I've just got golf balls everywhere. But anyhow, in the lot there, I kept digging up pennies. I didn't show them. There's a lot of shallow zincs over there, which is just a good sign that there's targets, and I dug 1 more copper. And then right after the last clip, I did find a 1964 penny that was shallow, so we're starting to get back into the earlier days of the house. So that's a really good sign. I'm going to go back out and dig some more. Okay, it's been another 5 minutes or so. I dug at least another 4 pennies. This is another copper one from the 70s. I'm not going to film any more of these unless it's from the 1960s or earlier, because this side lot here is littered with pennies, which is good. There's targets here. I'm going to keep popping them out and try to work my way back to the older stuff. Unfortunately, I'm about 90% sure that all of this is fill dirt in this lot and around the house. You can see a lot of the ground shifting, and right where it slopes down here to the road, you can see there's an old barrier of some sort of like erosion control mesh, and that's not a good sign. But anyhow, got an interesting target right here. I have dug a few more modern pennies since the last time the camera was on. You see a little piece of metal on this with plastic. So this is not too old, but it is like the hammer or the trigger off of a toy gun, it looks like. But like I said, it has some plastic on it, so it's not too incredibly old. I'm on the opposite corner of the house where there's a little strip here between here and the driveway, and you can see how all this clay has been mounded up for the landscaping and for other various things. This has been dug up, and see right here on the surface sticking out of the clay, an old valve, old brass one. And a second ago, I just found this old aluminum bottle top right on the surface. I came into the woods behind the house, which is going to be the most promising area, just to do an initial scout out here for when all of these trees are cut down and a lot of this brush is removed. Unfortunately, the yard itself looks like it's going to be a bust. I think it's mostly fill dirt. So apart from that old bullet, I don't think there's going to be anything good up there. I covered it quite well in my first time over it, and mostly just very shallow modern pennies everywhere, and some bits of aluminum and stuff like that. Let me show you this. I actually got a really good signal just meandering through the woods back here that sounds like a fairly deep silver dime signal. So let me show you where I'm at here. This is the back of the house, built in 1948. My property's right here. You can't see, built in 1951. It's kind of in behind the brush there. You can see the white a little bit. So I'm just down back in here where he started cutting down all these trees. You can see all these big boulders like on my property. And it goes back to the cliff edge back here, same as in my lot. And just debris everywhere back here. You can tell it hasn't been cleared out for brush in a very long time. And I'm going to show you the signal I have here. And we're going to try to do this live. All of a sudden, I just got a randomly concise 86, 85. That's pretty much perfect silver dime signal. 87. And it's registering depth too. So it's not like a piece of junk right on the surface. And I apologize for the leaves, and if this makes a lot of noise. Not easy digging conditions back here. I'm not sure if that's going to be low enough yet for the pinpointer to read. Maybe. We can give it a try. Yep. And you can see it's very, very tight of a signal. Which is a good sign. Let's hope it's something old. That'd be awesome if it's an old piece of silver down in here, and the first signal in the woods back here. You can see why I was, yeah, the edge popped. It's silver. I can tell right away. It has that dull tarnished edge to it. You can see why I was excited to get in the woods back here, and I just couldn't help myself but come back here. Look at that. That is silver. Unbelievable. And you can see all this rich original soil back here, unlike the front yard. Let's take a look at this. I can see the bands on the reverse. It's going to be a mercury dime. Unreal. Just randomly one passed through the area here that's kind of packed down where I could swing the detector. Can't see the year on it, but I will clean it up and show it in the video. That makes me happy right there. Just 2 to 3 inches down in the soft soil sitting back here in the woods. That is awesome and exactly what we're looking for. I am tripping right now. Started cleaning this off. This is actually a pretty decent coin. You can see the Denver mint mark here at the bottom, and I think this could have been dropped up in the woods there before these houses were built. Check it out. 1918. Let me clean this off a little bit more. This is a good one. I wanted to briefly show you all, I am on the PCGS website using their photo grade, and this is a very good tool for getting an estimated grade and value of your coins, because once you know the grade of it roughly, you can look up the value in that grade. So I've used this for years to hone my skills when I'm not grading on the fly and I want to pinpoint what my coin might grade a little bit down to the finer details. So you can see here on this mercury dime that is in fine 12, it's fairly worn, but it still has some detail on it, and you can see about maybe half of the bands are visible, maybe a little bit less than half, but it's a little bit slick. And then when you go up to fine 15, it just looks slightly more crisp, a little bit more in the bands, but not a whole lot different. And it's been a while since I've graded them. I thought mine was actually a little bit lower in the high-end VG range, but actually the mercury dime that I found is probably somewhere between these two grades. I go on the conservative end and say it's at least fine. I'm going to show it to you here. And this is a beauty. I cleaned it up a little bit very carefully with a wet paper towel and kept getting some of the dirt off, trying to make sure I didn't scratch it. Man, I like these early Mercs. And this is a pretty decent date too. I don't actually think I've ever found an 18D before. Just a really nice coin. You can see a little bit of the wear on the bands there. It's slightly better on the obverse than on the reverse. You can see there's a little bit more detail on the wings there. But that's a really cool coin, and man, it's got a nice old gray patina on it. I want to show you all also, I'm going to go to the Numismedia fair market value for collectors. And the coin I have here, you go to the 18D and good for VG8 fine 12. So at a minimum, this coin should have a collector's value of around $7. The next grade up, very fine, which this coin definitely is not. At best, it's in between these two grades. So if I had to throw a ballpark out there, the coin I found probably has a collector's value of in the $7 to $10 range. And man, so close to being that 16D. In this grade, it would have been north of $3,000. Maybe on the next one. This little fella came out of nowhere. I found one of these when leaf blowing the other day. Wonder if it's the same one. He looks about the same size. See his head poking out there through the leaves. Garter snake. There he goes. Come on. Oh, you gonna coil up on me? Ooh, you're not happy, are you? Okay, move along over this way so I don't step on you. For those of you who watched the last video over at my property, the metal detecting, I showed you all the andirons that I found in the basement that are antique, that were boarded off and sitting in there for decades until I discovered them. So my neighbor found some on his property as well. He showed them to me. They're just sitting out here. These were in the woods back here. Someone just discarded them. They were probably in his house at one point in one of the fireplaces. They're smaller than the ones I have and not as ornate, but they're in better shape. But yeah, look at those old andirons. I'm not sure if he wants them or not. He just has them sitting out here in the woods. I'll ask him if he doesn't want them. I'll probably repurpose them, but just giant pieces of old cast iron for the fireplace. Really like to save these things. Blasting signal on the surface. I just had to kick the leaves away and DeWalt. There's kind of hand crank on it. That line. Is this some kind of like chalk line or something? Not actually sure. I've never used one of these before. Somebody in the comments is going to know. Obviously it's got a line on it with a crank so that reels in. Yeah, something for, I don't know if that's for measuring straight lines or like a chalk line or something. That's pretty cool. Even though the digging conditions aren't very good back here because of all the leaves, the ivy, and the debris, etc., there's not a large concentration of trash targets in iron, which makes it a little bit easier than I expected. I've been detecting for another 15 minutes and haven't really found anything else other than a few bits of scrap. Right here I got a blasting high 70 signal. Decided to dig it up, and I got an intact, really old, what looks to be a lipstick tube. You can see kind of like that design on it. That's pretty cool. It's kind of like a waffle pattern. This is like one of the old ones that's copper. So this is probably from the very early days of the house, if not even dropped before then. But yeah, this is probably 1940s. But that's super cool. I'll have to clean that up later. Wasn't expecting that back here. Yeah, right there at the base of one of these giant trees. So this is actually a pretty cool vintage lipstick tube. One of the heaviest duty ones I've ever found. I've been working on cutting this open toward the front to loosen it up from where it's kind of seized up and to get all that dirt out of there. So I've been using a little keychain knife, and I got it loosened up there. So we're going to check what's inside. My hope is that somebody used it for storage for old silver dimes. This is the dime I found, and you can see on top of that, it's a perfect size. You could do a whole tube of them. So anyway, we're going to see if I can pop this open now. Come on, there we go. First time this thing's been opened, probably almost 100 years. Unfortunately, there's nothing down inside there except corrosion. No lipstick though, so you never know when empty ones like this could have been repurposed, because it was very heavy. I couldn't tell, just because it's such a thick copper, I couldn't tell if there was anything inside or not. But unfortunately it's empty, but a cool vintage lipstick tube nonetheless. Looks like someone had a tire swing back here for a while. Big chain mounted onto that. This is one of the big tires. Just randomly sitting back here, looking around in this thick brush. These boulders everywhere make it hard to get into the nook and crannies, especially with all the trees he knocked down to get the brush started to get out of here. But yeah, once all this debris is cleared, I should be able to find some more stuff back here. I'm limited to what else I can do, but I gave it my best shot for the last 20 minutes or so. I'm gonna keep looking a little bit longer, and we'll see what pops up. Okay, so I am back in the house now, which is right next door to where I was just metal detecting. I haven't done much to this property over the last year. I took a break from working on it and just kept up with the lawn care and stuff like that outside regarding landscaping. But I'm getting ready to get back into doing some work to this place. Anyhow, I mentioned to you all previously where I tore out these cabinets. I found a lot of interesting stuff behind them because there was a big crack in behind it where things could fall. I showed some of it in a previous shorts video, and here's just a couple things I had laying around that nobody saw before. I got this Magnavox magazine, which is in really good shape, so it really takes you into the past. As you can see, you can get your wood encased tube TV fire hazard for only $6.99. Perfect Black Friday sale, right? Yes, I'm filming this video on Black Friday 2023. So this was pretty fun to find this and sort through it just to see what they were selling back then. I can't remember if I looked for a date on this. I think it was, what is this, like early 80s or something. And this was pretty cool too. A rain check from a Kmart that closed down probably quite a while ago. There was a Kmart in the town over where I'm at that I've been in before. It was one of the last holdouts. It's only closed down a few years ago. I actually filmed a video inside the Kmart, but long story, I never actually posted that one. It was just kind of a goofy video about a dying Kmart location, and I bought a bunch of different stuff too. Actually, for those of you who've been subscribed for a while and have participated in the live streams, the thing that I put the subscriber of the month name in, that was an old display fixture from Kmart. They were selling all of the equipment and stuff too, and I grabbed one of those, so I have a piece of Kmart history preserved. Anyhow, I'm not going to do a tour of what I have done to this property over the last year and a half. It's really not much other than getting some stuff in here and doing like interior design. I haven't actually got to the repairs yet, apart from like demo and stuff like that, so this is still a work in progress. I showed all of the good finds cleaned up as I went in the video, so there's no sense doing a wrap up. The only other thing I didn't bother filming was an old tube, probably from the 1950s or so, but there's a look at the stack of modern pennies that I got from the front yard. Ended up 20 of them, so it took me a while to dig those out. Anyhow, I hope you enjoyed the video. This was a fun one, made a couple really cool finds, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Take care.